Sarah Martinez stared at her computer screen in disbelief, her coffee growing cold as she read the email that would change everything. After 18 months of sleepless nights, countless revisions, and pouring her soul into the revolutionary marketing platform that was about to launch, her name had vanished from the investor presentation invite. In its place sat Madison Thompson, her boss's 24-year-old daughter who had joined the company just 3 months ago. The downtown Chicago office buzzed with pre-launch energy on this crisp October morning. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows of the 32nd floor, Sarah could see Lake Michigan stretching endlessly toward the horizon, its steel-gray waters matching the storm brewing in her chest. She had built her career methodically, earning her MBA from Northwestern, climbing from junior analyst to senior product manager through pure determination and 60-hour work weeks. But apparently, none of that mattered when nepotism walked through the door wearing designer heels and an Ivy League smile. Please subscribe to our channel to help us bring you more real stories like this one, and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your support means everything to us as we share these experiences that so many of you can relate to. The irony wasn't lost on Sarah that she was supposed to feel grateful. 3 weeks earlier, Richard Thompson, the company's CEO and Madison's father, had called her into his corner office with its panoramic city views and mahogany furniture that screamed old money. "Sarah, I have exciting news," he had said, adjusting his gold cufflinks. "Madison will be joining your team as associate product manager. She's brilliant, fresh out of Harvard Business School, and I know you'll help her get up to speed." The unspoken message was crystal clear. Play nice with daddy's little girl. Madison had arrived like a whirlwind of privilege and entitlement. While Sarah had spent the previous year and a half developing the platform's core algorithms, conducting market research with potential clients, and personally debugging code until 2 in the morning, Madison swept in with grand ideas about revolutionary user experience paradigms and disruptive engagement metrics. She spoke in buzzwords that impressed Richard but made the actual developers roll their eyes when they thought no one was looking. The platform, which Sarah had internally named ConnectFlow, was designed to revolutionize how small businesses managed their social media presence. It combined artificial intelligence with intuitive design to automate posting schedules, analyze engagement patterns, and provide actionable insights that could boost a company's online presence by up to 300%. Sarah had conducted personally over 200 client interviews, analyzed competitor products for months, and worked directly with the development team to ensure every feature solved a real problem. But Madison had other plans. Within her first week, she was suggesting complete overhauls of the user interface that would require months of additional development time. "Sarah, I think we need to pivot toward a more millennial-focused aesthetic," Madison had announced during a team meeting, her perfectly manicured nails tapping against her rose gold laptop. "The current design feels so corporate. We need something that speaks to the TikTok generation." Sarah had tried to explain diplomatically that their target market was actually established small business owners aged 30 to 55, people who valued functionality over flashy designs. She had data to back this up, charts showing user preferences, demographic analysis, and competitive research. But Madison dismissed it with a wave of her hand. "Data is just one perspective, Sarah. Sometimes you have to trust your instincts about what the market really wants." The breaking point came during a critical client presentation 2 weeks before the launch. Sarah had been preparing for this meeting with Brightstar Industries, a potential major client, for over a month. She knew their business model inside and out, had customized the entire demo to show exactly how ConnectFlow could solve their specific challenges with managing social media across their 47 retail locations. But when she arrived at the conference room that Tuesday morning, Madison was already there, setting up her own laptop. "Oh, Sarah, didn't you get Richard's email? He thought it would be good for me to take the lead on this presentation. To get some real-world experience." Sarah's heart sank as she realized she hadn't received any such email, but Richard was already walking in with the Brightstar executives, making introductions as if Madison had been the project lead all along. The presentation was a disaster. Madison stumbled through slides she clearly hadn't prepared, mixed up key features, and completely misunderstood Brightstar's core needs. When the executives asked specific technical questions about data security protocols that Sarah had spent weeks developing, Madison looked helplessly around the room. Sarah had to step in to salvage the meeting, but the damage was done. Brightstar politely declined to move forward, citing concerns about the team's technical expertise and project ownership. That evening, Sarah found herself walking along the Chicago Riverwalk despite the October chill, trying to process what had happened. The city lights reflected off the dark water as office workers hurried past, bundled in coats and scarves, everyone rushing somewhere important. She thought about her journey to this moment, growing up in a working-class family in Milwaukee where her parents had cleaned office buildings to pay for her education. Every achievement had been earned through sacrifice and determination, not handed to her on a silver platter. Her phone buzzed with a text from her mentor, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, who had guided Sarah through her MBA program. "Coffee tomorrow? I heard through the grapevine that things are getting complicated at work." Elena had built her own successful consulting firm after facing similar challenges in corporate America, and Sarah desperately needed her perspective. They met the next morning at a small cafe in Lincoln Park, away from the downtown business district where Sarah might run into colleagues. Elena listened patiently as Sarah explained the situation, her weathered hands wrapped around her coffee cup, dark eyes reflecting years of hard-earned wisdom. "Sarah, I've seen this story before," Elena said finally. "The question isn't whether this is unfair, because we both know it is. The question is what you're going to do about it. What can I do? She's the boss's daughter. If I push back too hard, I'll be the one looking for a new job." Sarah's voice carried 18 months of frustration and exhaustion. Elena leaned forward, her expression serious. "You built that platform. Every algorithm, every feature, every line of code was developed under your leadership. Documentation doesn't lie, Sarah. Email chains don't lie. Client feedback forms don't lie. The question is whether you're going to let someone else take credit for your life's work, or whether you're going to find a way to make sure the right story gets told." That conversation planted a seed that grew over the following week. Sarah began meticulously organizing her documentation, creating a comprehensive timeline of the project's development. She had emails showing her initial concept proposals, meeting notes where she outlined the technical specifications, client interview summaries that shaped the product features, and performance reviews praising her leadership on the ConnectFlow project. The investor presentation was scheduled for the following Thursday. The company had secured meetings with 3 major venture capital firms who were considering a $15 million funding round. This was the culmination of everything Sarah had worked toward, the moment when ConnectFlow would either succeed or fail based on how well the team could demonstrate its value proposition. But when Sarah received the official meeting agenda on Tuesday, her worst fears were confirmed. Madison Thompson was listed as lead product manager and project architect for the ConnectFlow presentation. Sarah's name appeared only in small print as supporting team member. The seating chart showed Madison positioned directly next to the investors, while Sarah was relegated to a back corner of the conference room. That Tuesday evening, Sarah made a decision that would define the rest of her career. Instead of accepting the situation or quietly looking for another job, she decided to take control of her own narrative. She spent the entire night preparing 2 versions of the presentation, one that told the real story of ConnectFlow's development and another that highlighted the technical innovations that Madison clearly didn't understand. Wednesday morning brought unexpected drama. Madison called in sick with what she claimed was food poisoning from a restaurant in River North, where she had been celebrating with friends the night before. Richard was beside himself, pacing his office as he realized his daughter wouldn't be available to lead the presentation that could determine the company's future. Sarah seized the moment. She knocked on Richard's door with quiet confidence, carrying her laptop and a folder of documentation. "Richard, I know you're concerned about tomorrow's presentation. I want you to know that I'm completely prepared to step in and lead the ConnectFlow demonstration. I have detailed technical knowledge of every component, client testimonials ready to share, and comprehensive market analysis that will impress the investors." Richard looked relieved but slightly uncomfortable. "Sarah, I appreciate your willingness to help, but Madison will be better by tomorrow. She's been working so hard on this project." "With respect, Richard, I think we both know that's not accurate." Sarah opened her folder and placed a printed timeline on his desk. "This documents the entire 18-month development process. Every major decision, every client interaction, every technical breakthrough. Madison has been with us for 12 weeks. I'll let the evidence speak for itself." Richard scanned the documents, his expression growing increasingly serious as he realized the depth of Sarah's involvement compared to his daughter's surface-level contributions. The email chains were particularly damning, showing Sarah's detailed technical specifications and Madison's vague responses filled with business school jargon but no substantive understanding. "Sarah, I had no idea the division of work was so." Richard paused, clearly struggling with the implications. "So uneven. I'm not asking you to choose between your daughter and your employee, Sarah said carefully. I'm asking you to choose between amateur hour and professional excellence when $15 million is on the line. The investors aren't going to be impressed by buzzwords and theoretical frameworks. They want to see results, understanding, and vision. Thursday morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn weather that made Chicago feel electric with possibility. Sarah arrived at the office 2 hours early, reviewing her presentation materials one final time. Madison appeared 30 minutes before the meeting, looking pale and nervous, clearly unprepared for the responsibility she had claimed to want. The investors arrived precisely on time. Margaret Chen from North Shore Ventures, David Rodriguez from Great Lakes Capital, and Jennifer Walsh from Midwest Growth Partners. These were seasoned professionals who had built their reputations on identifying promising technologies and the teams capable of executing them. They weren't interested in playing corporate politics or indulging nepotism. As everyone gathered in the main conference room, Sarah made her move. Instead of taking her assigned seat in the back corner, she positioned herself directly across from the investors, her presentation materials confidently arranged, her laptop connected to the main display. When Richard introduced the ConnectFlow team, Sarah stood up smoothly and began speaking before Madison could object. Good morning, everyone. I'm Sarah Martinez, Senior Product Manager and Lead Architect of ConnectFlow. Over the past 18 months, my team and I have developed what we believe is a revolutionary solution for small business social media management. She clicked to her first slide, which showed impressive user engagement statistics from their beta testing phase. Madison started to interrupt, but Margaret Chen raised her hand. Ms. Martinez, these beta numbers are impressive. Can you walk us through the technical architecture that's driving these results? For the next 45 minutes, Sarah demonstrated complete mastery of every aspect of ConnectFlow. She explained the machine learning algorithms that personalized content recommendations, detailed the security protocols that protected client data, and shared specific case studies showing how beta clients had increased their social media engagement by an average of 230%. The investors asked increasingly complex questions about scalability, competitive positioning, and technical challenges. Sarah answered each one with specific examples, data points, and clear explanations of how her team had solved complex problems. When they inquired about future development roadmaps, she outlined detailed plans for mobile optimization, API integrations, and advanced analytics features. Madison sat silently, clearly out of her depth, occasionally nodding as if she understood the technical discussions but offering no substantive contributions. When Jennifer Walsh asked directly about her role in the project, Madison fumbled through a vague response about strategic oversight and user experience optimization. Can you give us a specific example of a UX decision you made and how it improved user engagement? David Rodriguez pressed. Madison's face flushed as she struggled to answer. Well, we implemented several interface improvements that enhanced the overall user journey through strategic design paradigms. It was corporate speak that said nothing while trying to sound impressive. Sarah watched this exchange with professional detachment, feeling neither satisfaction nor sympathy, just a quiet confidence that truth was revealing itself. When Margaret Chen asked about the competitive landscape, Sarah provided a detailed analysis of 17 competing platforms, explaining exactly how ConnectFlow's unique features provided superior value propositions. The presentation concluded with Sarah outlining the company's funding needs and growth projections. She had prepared detailed financial models showing how the $15 million investment would accelerate user acquisition, support geographic expansion, and fund the development team necessary to maintain their competitive advantage. As the investors prepared to leave, Margaret Chen approached Sarah directly. Ms. Martinez, that was one of the most comprehensive and professional product presentations we've seen this year. Your technical expertise and market understanding are exactly what we look for in investment opportunities. David Rodriguez nodded in agreement. The depth of your product knowledge and clear vision for scaling this platform are impressive. We'll be discussing this opportunity seriously with our investment committee. Jennifer Walsh handed Sarah her business card. I'd like to schedule a follow-up meeting next week to discuss some additional technical questions and your long-term vision for ConnectFlow. Would you be available to lead that conversation? After the investors left, the conference room fell silent. Richard sat at the head of the table, clearly processing what had just transpired. Madison stared at her hands, perhaps realizing for the first time that business success required more than connections and confidence. Sarah, Richard said finally, I owe you an apology. And I think we need to have a serious conversation about project leadership and recognition. The following week brought significant changes that rippled through the entire company culture. Sarah received a promotion to Director of Product Development with a substantial salary increase and equity stake in the company. The investor meetings led to successful funding at a higher valuation than originally projected, largely because of investor confidence in Sarah's technical leadership and vision. But the real transformation went deeper than titles and compensation. Richard Thompson called an all-hands meeting that Friday afternoon, gathering the entire 50-person team in the main conference room. The autumn sun streamed through the windows as he addressed what had happened during the investor presentation. I want to talk about recognition, accountability, and how we build a culture where everyone's contributions are valued accurately. Richard began, his usual corporate polish replaced by genuine reflection. This week taught me that good intentions aren't enough if our systems don't support fair recognition of the work that drives our success. He outlined new policies for project documentation, transparent credit allocation, and performance evaluation that would prevent future situations where someone could claim credit for work they hadn't performed. Sarah watched her colleagues nodding in agreement, particularly the other women and junior developers who had witnessed similar dynamics in their own projects. The most significant change was the implementation of what became known as the Connect Flow documentation standard. Every project would maintain detailed records of individual contributions, decision-making processes, and problem-solving approaches. Sarah worked with the human resources team to create templates that made it easy for everyone to document their work without creating excessive bureaucracy. Madison, to her credit, asked to be reassigned to a business development role where her networking skills and family connections could add genuine value without requiring deep technical expertise. It was a mature decision that acknowledged her actual strengths while removing her from responsibilities she wasn't prepared to handle. During their transition meeting, Madison surprised Sarah with her honesty. I know I came in thinking my MBA and family connections were enough to lead a technical project. I was wrong. And I'm sorry that my inexperience nearly cost you credit for 18 months of incredible work. The conversation lasted nearly 2 hours, covering everything from imposter syndrome to the pressure of living up to family expectations. Sarah found herself respecting Madison's willingness to acknowledge her mistakes and commitment to finding a role where she could contribute meaningfully. Within 6 months, Madison had leveraged her social connections to secure 3 major client partnerships that significantly expanded ConnectFlow's market reach. Her business development skills proved genuinely valuable when applied appropriately. 6 months later, ConnectFlow had grown from a promising startup to a recognized leader in small business social media management. Sarah's team had expanded to 12 developers and designers, all working under her leadership to continuously improve and scale the platform. Client retention rates exceeded 90%, and user engagement metrics consistently outperformed industry benchmarks. The success wasn't just measured in numbers. Sarah received emails almost daily from small business owners whose companies had transformed through ConnectFlow's automated social media management. Maria Santos, who owned a chain of 3 Mexican restaurants in Chicago's Pilsen neighborhood, wrote about how ConnectFlow had helped her increase customer engagement by 400% during the challenging months following the pandemic recovery. Before ConnectFlow, I was spending 3 hours every day trying to manage our Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter accounts across all 3 locations, Maria explained in a video testimonial that Sarah treasured. Now the platform automatically schedules posts that match each location's peak customer hours, analyzes which menu photos get the most engagement, and even suggests seasonal promotions based on local events. My revenue increased 30% in 4 months, and I can focus on what I love most about running restaurants. Another client, David Kim, had built a successful home renovation business serving Chicago's North Shore suburbs. His testimonial highlighted ConnectFlow's ability to showcase before and after photos at optimal times, connect with homeowners searching for specific services, and build trust through consistent online presence. Sarah's platform doesn't just automate posting, David explained. It understands my business well enough to create content that actually converts browsers into paying customers. These success stories validated every sleepless night Sarah had spent debugging algorithms, every client interview she had conducted to understand real business needs, and every technical challenge she had solved through pure determination. The platform's impact extended far beyond impressive metrics to genuine improvement in people's lives and livelihoods. But perhaps the most meaningful recognition came from an unexpected source. The Illinois Technology Association nominated ConnectFlow for their Innovation Excellence Award, specifically citing Sarah's leadership in developing solutions that democratized advanced marketing tools for small businesses. The nomination letter praised her technical vision and commitment to solving real problems rather than chasing trendy but impractical features. The award ceremony took place at the Chicago History Museum on a snowy February evening. Sarah invited her parents to attend, the first time they had seen her receive professional recognition at this level. Her father, who had worked night shifts as a security guard to help pay for her education, wore his only suit and couldn't stop smiling as Sarah accepted the award on behalf of her entire team. This recognition belongs to everyone who believed that small businesses deserve access to the same sophisticated tools that large corporations use to build their brands, Sarah said during her acceptance speech. ConnectFlow exists because we refuse to accept that innovation should be limited by company size or marketing budget. The experience taught Sarah valuable lessons about advocating for herself in professional environments where politics and connections often overshadow merit. She learned that documentation and preparation could overcome attempts to undermine her contributions, and that sometimes taking bold action was necessary to protect years of hard work. These insights became the foundation for Sarah's approach to building inclusive teams where everyone's contributions were visible and valued. She implemented weekly documentation reviews where team members shared their progress, challenges, and innovations. This practice prevented anyone from claiming credit for work they hadn't performed while ensuring that quiet contributors received recognition for their efforts. The impact extended beyond ConnectFlow. Other Chicago technology companies began adopting similar documentation standards after hearing about the dramatic improvements in team morale and productivity. Sarah was invited to speak at several industry conferences about building equitable recognition systems in competitive workplaces. During one particularly memorable presentation at the Chicago Women in Tech Summit, Sarah shared the story of her investor presentation experience with an audience of over 300 professional women. The response was overwhelming, with dozens of attendees approaching her afterward to share similar experiences of having their work minimized or appropriated by colleagues with better connections or more prominent positions. The most dangerous myth in corporate culture is that good work automatically receives recognition, Sarah told the audience. In reality, recognition requires intentional systems, careful documentation, and sometimes the courage to advocate for yourself when no one else will. The presentation video eventually garnered over 50,000 views online and became required viewing at several MBA programs studying workplace equity. Elena Rodriguez visited Sarah's new office on a sunny spring afternoon, admiring the view and the team of developers working collaboratively in the open workspace beyond Sarah's glass-walled office. The space reflected Sarah's leadership philosophy: transparency, accessibility, and collaborative problem-solving. Unlike traditional corporate hierarchies where senior executives isolated themselves in corner offices, Sarah had chosen a central location where she could easily interact with her entire team. You know, Sarah, this story isn't really about defeating nepotism or proving that merit matters more than connections, Elena observed as she watched developers debugging code while discussing solutions with designers and market researchers. What do you mean? Sarah asked, genuinely curious about her mentor's perspective. It's about recognizing your own worth and being willing to fight for it when necessary. Too many talented people, especially women and minorities, quietly accept being overlooked or undervalued because they don't want to make waves. But sometimes making waves is exactly what's required to change the tide. This conversation sparked what became Sarah's most important professional initiative beyond ConnectFlow itself. She established the Merit Recognition Project, a consulting service that helped other technology companies implement fair documentation and recognition systems. The project operated as a non-profit extension of ConnectFlow, funded by the company's success but focused on systemic change rather than profit generation. Sarah reflected on that wisdom as she prepared for her next presentation to potential international clients interested in expanding ConnectFlow into European markets. She had learned that professional success wasn't just about technical competence or strategic thinking, although both were essential. It was also about courage, timing, and the willingness to advocate for yourself when no one else would. The international expansion represented ConnectFlow's next major growth phase. Sarah had spent months researching European small business needs, understanding regulatory requirements for data protection, and adapting the platform's features to accommodate different cultural approaches to social media marketing. The technical challenges were significant, requiring new language processing capabilities, currency conversion features, and integration with European social media platforms that weren't prominent in the American market. But the opportunity was equally significant. European small businesses faced many of the same social media management challenges as their American counterparts. often with even fewer resources and less technical support. ConnectFlow's automated solutions could help thousands of businesses across multiple countries improve their online presence, while Sarah's team built sustainable revenue streams that would fund continued innovation. The preparation for European expansion also highlighted how much Sarah had grown as a leader since the investor presentation crisis. Instead of trying to handle every aspect of international business development herself, she built a diverse team that included native speakers from target markets, regulatory compliance experts, and cultural consultants who understood local business practices. Thomas Mueller, a German business consultant who joined ConnectFlow's international team, brought insights about small business culture in Central Europe that proved invaluable. American businesses often embrace new technology quickly, but European small business owners want extensive proof that solutions will work before committing, he explained during a team planning session. We need to emphasize ConnectFlow's track record and provide detailed case studies that demonstrate real results. This feedback led Sarah to develop a comprehensive international marketing strategy that emphasized client testimonials, detailed performance metrics, and pilot programs that allowed European businesses to test ConnectFlow's capabilities without major upfront commitments. The approach reflected lessons she had learned about the importance of understanding your audience deeply before trying to solve their problems. The Chicago skyline stretched beyond her office windows, a testament to human ambition and the belief that great things were possible when talent met opportunity. Sarah had created her own opportunity by refusing to let someone else claim credit for her life's work. The investors hadn't just funded ConnectFlow. They had invested in her vision, her expertise, and her leadership. The view from her office had become a daily reminder of how far she had traveled from that October morning when she discovered her name missing from the investor presentation invite. The same Lake Michigan that had reflected her frustration and determination now sparkled in afternoon sunlight, a symbol of persistence and the rewards that came from refusing to accept unfair treatment. But the real measure of success wasn't visible from her windows. It existed in the thousands of small businesses whose owners could now compete effectively online, in the dozens of team members who worked in an environment where their contributions were recognized and valued, and in the systemic changes that ConnectFlow had inspired across Chicago's technology community. As she reviewed client testimonials praising ConnectFlow's impact on their businesses, Sarah realized that the platform's success validated not just 18 months of technical development, but years of professional growth, strategic thinking, and unwavering commitment to excellence. She had built something meaningful that helped real people solve real problems, and no amount of corporate politics could diminish that achievement. The latest testimonials reflected the platform's expanding impact. Jennifer Walsh from a boutique marketing agency in Lincoln Park wrote about how ConnectFlow had enabled her team to serve twice as many clients without increasing staff. Sarah's platform handles all the routine posting and engagement monitoring, which frees up my team to focus on creative strategy and relationship building, Jennifer explained. Our client satisfaction scores have increased 40% since we started using ConnectFlow as our foundation for social media management. Another client, Robert Chun, operated a specialty electronics repair business serving Chicago's tech community. His testimonial highlighted ConnectFlow's ability to educate potential customers about complex technical services through automated content that explained common problems and solutions in accessible language. Before ConnectFlow, most people didn't understand what we do or why professional electronics repair costs more than replacement, Robert noted. Now the platform automatically shares educational content that builds trust and demonstrates our expertise. My conversion rate from website visitors to actual customers improved by 60%. These success stories accumulated daily, each one representing a small business owner who could now compete more effectively in an increasingly digital marketplace. Sarah kept a folder of printed testimonials on her desk, physical reminders that technical innovation meant nothing unless it solved real problems for real people. The story spread through Chicago's startup community as an example of how merit could triumph over connections when someone was prepared to document their contributions and advocate for their work. Several other women in tech reached out to Sarah, sharing similar experiences and asking for advice about navigating workplace dynamics where family relationships or personal connections threatened to overshadow professional competence. Sarah began mentoring young professionals, particularly women and minorities, sharing the lessons she had learned about building careers in competitive environments. She emphasized the importance of documentation, the value of finding advocates and mentors, and the necessity of being prepared to fight for recognition when their contributions were significant but undervalued. Today, ConnectFlow serves over 10,000 small businesses across North America, helping them build stronger online presence and connect more effectively with their customers. Sarah leads a team of 35 employees, and the company has been recognized as one of Chicago's fastest-growing technology companies. But perhaps most importantly, Sarah learned that professional success isn't just about individual achievement. It's about creating environments where talent is recognized regardless of personal connections, where merit drives advancement, and where everyone has the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to shared goals. The presentation that changed her career wasn't just about securing funding or proving her competence. It was about establishing a foundation for building something larger than herself. The investors who funded ConnectFlow often cite Sarah's leadership and technical vision as key factors in their decision. Margaret Chin later admitted that seeing someone advocate so effectively for their own work while maintaining professionalism and focus on business results impressed the entire investment committee. This experience shaped Sarah's approach to leadership as ConnectFlow continued growing. She implemented transparent processes for project recognition, created documentation standards that made individual contributions clear and measurable, and established mentorship programs that helped junior team members develop both technical skills and professional advocacy abilities. The platform that began as Sarah's vision for helping small businesses succeed has evolved into a comprehensive solution that combines artificial intelligence, data analytics, and intuitive design to democratize social media marketing for companies that can't afford expensive agency services. Every feature reflects Sarah's commitment to solving real problems with elegant, scalable solutions. Looking back, Sarah recognizes that the moment when Madison's name replaced hers on the investor presentation invite was actually a gift. It forced her to stop accepting secondary recognition for primary contributions and start advocating for herself with the same energy she brought to building great products. The lesson resonated far beyond her individual career. In a business environment where connections and politics often influence advancement more than competence and results, Sarah's story demonstrates that preparation, documentation, and strategic courage can level playing fields that seem inherently unfair. ConnectFlow's success continues growing, with international expansion planned for the coming year and new artificial intelligence features that will further revolutionize how small businesses manage their online presence. But the foundation of that success isn't just innovative technology or market positioning. It's the principle that great work deserves recognition and that talented people should never apologize for claiming credit they've earned through dedication and excellence.